Hours before he denied Jesus, Peter said the opposite. "Even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you." He meant it. Every disciple in that room said the same thing. And yet, before that same night was over, the man Jesus had renamed the Rock swore with a curse that he had never even met him. This isn't a story about a coward. It's a story about the one man everyone, including himself, was most sure would never fall. He wasn't a minor character. Peter was a Galilean fisherman, the first of the 12 to say out loud what the others were only thinking. "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." That's the exact moment Jesus renamed him from Simon to Peter, the Rock, and said he would build his church on him. This is also the man who once stepped out of a boat in a storm because Jesus told him to come. Bold, fast to act, first to speak. That's who walked into that courtyard. At the table that night, Jesus said it plainly. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter argued, not with anger, with certainty. He had left his boat, his family, 3 years of his life for this man. Denial wasn't in him. Scripture doesn't explain why Jesus let him hear it in advance and still walked toward Gethsemane, knowing exactly what was coming for both of them that same night. When the soldiers came for Jesus in the garden, Peter did something almost everyone forgets. He drew a sword and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his ear. According to John's Gospel, it was Peter, and it was real violence, born of real loyalty, not cowardice. Then Jesus told him to put the sword away and healed the man. Mark records what happened right after. Everyone deserted Jesus and fled. Everyone. Except Peter, who turned back and followed at a distance, into the one place that would break him. Following at a distance meant a courtyard, a fire, and strangers. A servant girl looked at him in the firelight. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee." One sentence. And Peter, standing feet from where Jesus was being questioned inside, said in front of everyone, "I don't know what you're talking about." The first denial cost him almost nothing to say out loud. That's exactly what makes it the easiest one to miss. He moved toward the gate, maybe to leave, maybe just to get away from the light. Someone else recognized him there and said it again, this time to the people standing around. Peter denied it a second time, and Matthew's Gospel adds one detail, this time with an oath. He was no longer just answering a question. He was swearing to a lie in the same courtyard where Jesus stood accused. About an hour later, the crowd turned on him again. "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." And then, according to John, someone leaned in closer, a relative of the very servant whose ear Peter had cut off. "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" That question could have gotten him arrested on the spot. Peter's answer, Matthew writes, came with cursing and swearing. "I do not know the man." At that exact moment, the rooster crowed. And Luke's gospel records something none of the other three do. Jesus, likely being led across that same courtyard under guard, turned and looked straight at Peter. Not a word, just a look, landing on him at the precise second his own denial finished leaving his mouth. Peter remembered what Jesus had told him hours earlier, at the same table where he'd sworn he never would. And he went out and wept bitterly. The Gospels don't tell us what Peter did in those hours after that. No dialogue, no explanation, nothing. The most outspoken man in the whole story disappears from it completely until after the resurrection. Whatever he carried through that night and through the crucifixion that followed the next day, Scripture leaves it there, unwritten. What we do know is this: the man who was most sure this would never happen to him was the one it happened to. Easter morning, the tomb is empty, and an angel gives the women a message for the disciples. Mark's Gospel records the exact wording: "Go tell his disciples and Peter." Not just the disciples, Peter, by name, singled out. Before anyone had apologized, before anyone had explained anything, the first message sent out from the empty tomb already had his name written into it. Later, by the Sea of Galilee, after a night of fishing that caught nothing, Jesus makes breakfast over a charcoal fire, the same kind of fire Peter stood beside when he denied him. And there, Jesus asks him one question 3 times. "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Once for each denial. John's Gospel says Peter was hurt that Jesus asked a 3rd time. He answers all 3 the same way, and each answer gets the same response back: "Feed my sheep." This is why Jesus rebuilt him this way, not by demanding an explanation for the denials, not by pretending they didn't happen. He asked about love 3 times, matching the number of the failure, and answered every yes with a job to do. The name Rock had already been given to Peter before any of this, back at Caesarea Philippi. What that night in the courtyard proved is that the foundation was never his own strength. It was always what Jesus was willing to rebuild. Scripture's account of Peter ends with that commission by the fire. What happened after is preserved by tradition, not the Bible itself. Early Christian writers, including Origen, as recorded by the historian Eusebius, describe Peter leading the church in Rome and eventually being crucified for his faith, asking, tradition says, to be crucified upside down because he didn't consider himself worthy to die the same way as Jesus.
If you've ever failed someone and been sure it disqualified you from whatever came next, this is the story to sit with. Jesus didn't rebuild the man who denied him by erasing that night or requiring proof it wouldn't happen again. He asked him one question and let the answer be enough.
Tell me in the comments which part of Peter's story hit you hardest, and subscribe if you want more of these stories told the way Scripture actually tells them.